Hey everybody, welcome to another Making a Geek. I am Damien DiCarlo. I am here yet again with two awesome people. Kai Patterson's here. Hi Kai.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, that's good for excitement there. Hello, hello. James Creviston's also here, giggling away. Hi, James.
I am. How's it going? I'm ready to feel dumb, Damien. I'm ready to feel dumb today.
Clearly, I don't have co-hosts today. I lost them both. One's just not excited, and the other one's just already self-deprecating. That's all right. We'll get you guys more excited. Tonight we're talking about The Prestige. This is yet again another entry in our Christopher Nolan marathon, if you will. We're going through his films, analyzing in order of release. This film, psychological thriller, released in 2006, Christopher Nolan, written by his brother Jonathan, based on a 1995 novel. Christopher Priest wrote it under the same name, to my knowledge. We have major actors attached to this. We have Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, Michael Caine, Scarlett Johansson, Rebecca Hall. I mean, we got major cast members here to join in on another Christopher Nolan movie. So this movie came out in 2006. A lot to look at when we look back. What do we think? What do we think as far as some initial thoughts watching this in this day and age?
I think it still holds up, honestly. I think it's a fantastic film. It's one of my favorites in general, but also from Nolan. And yeah, I think it's always a treat when you get to show this to somebody, and just like seeing somebody experience it for the first time is also really cool too. So it's a great one to share with, as long as that person like is an avid movie watcher and isn't just gonna like sit and text on their phone, because then they're not gonna get
I
it.
miss everything.
Which we've talked about before. That's kind of like my way of gauging my level of interest in the film. It's almost like that should be my new rating for this and shows, but in movies, if you're on your phone, obviously the film has lost you. Whether it be, I don't mind putting this on hold real quick while I check my Instagram real fast, or just gonna throw out a quick little tweet on X or whatever you kids call it these days. No, but like it's just enough to not care anymore what's happening in that moment, even if it's for a brief moment. But there's films that engage you so much that you literally can't take your eyes off of it. You can't, you can't stop what you're doing. You have to give it its full, your full attention to it. I guess that the old term would be in the movies, edge of your seat entertainment or edge of your seat action. It's just something that you're very immersed and engaged with.
What do you call a movie where you have to rewind it a lot to try to get it because it's smarter than you? What do you call that kind of movie?
That's interactive.
This is that movie. Like there are things that, like, if you miss something, if you miss a piece, when you get to the end, you go, wait a minute, wait, what? So, like, I think I found myself rewinding the movie as much as I found myself watching the movie, if that makes sense. Because I was like trying to like gauge it, because you have three characters that flow throughout the story, right? You have Michael Caine's character who's telling the story, but also, is in parts of it. You have Hugh Jackman's character who is dealing with his whole situation, and I don't want to get in. I don't know if we're allowed to do spoilers, but his whole tragedy and dealing with that. And then you have Christian Bale's character who's trying to move on past that tragedy and just kind of get on with his life, but keeps getting pulled back into this fight with Hugh Jackman's character. And so there's three different point of views happening all at once here. And honestly, it's more than three point of views, technically, if you want to get technical about it, I guess. But in that moment, you're having to like rewatch and go, wait, what? Who's this person? Why do they look like this? That person's similar to this. Like, so that's why I said this movie's too smart for me. It's one of those movies like, I'm a dumb person. Like, it's not made for me.
So, yeah, to further your thought, I saw this film with someone, and it was exactly what you said. If you didn't pay attention to every little part, all those little parts, when you see another little part later, will play out to what will be the end at the end of the movie. Which, by the way, we're doing full spoilers. So if you haven't seen this, too bad. No, make sure you watch it first before listening to us further. Yeah, the whole point of his films, I've noticed, when they're jumping back and forth, when they're non-linear, it's obviously driving to a point as to why you're trying to piece something together. And we saw this in the very first film, you and I, when we saw it, Kai. When we saw Following, same thing. It was piecing together a certain point of interest, which would be, you know, whether it would be the protagonist trying to face something at the end of the story, or there's something to be finally revealed at the end of it. In which case, this film did the same thing. I think that this whole movie, as I was watching it, I couldn't stop hearing the line, "Are you watching closely?" This is something that I know. I think it's very breaking that fourth wall. It's very Nolan telling you again, "Are you paying attention?" Because at the end, you may or may not get it. You may not understand the whole buildup as to what I've been showing you sleight of hand, so to speak.
No, yep. The whole movie isn't the whole movie is a giant magic trick. That's the thing, is the whole film is one big magic trick. And so if you're not paying attention, if you're not watching what's happening, if you're not seeing what each character is doing and what they're revealing to you in that moment, when you get to the end, it already is a shock. But when you get to the end, it'll be a bigger shock, and you'll go, "How did I not get any of this?" So it was I liked it, but again, too smart for me.
No, and I don't think that that's true. It's not a matter of whether you're, like, dumb or smart. I think it's just a matter of you may have to watch it again. You may have to pay attention again, whereas maybe the first time, there could be many factors. I'm not in the right mood. I'm not in the right frame of mind. I didn't know what kind of film this was gonna be. So it could still pique your interest at the end of it and say, "Well, I really liked it. I wish I really got it more." Well, put it on again, because this is something very typical with Nolan that I actually really, really appreciate about him. There has to be replay value in everything. For me, I feel the same about a video game. It could be a book, a comic book. If the replay value is low, then I'm more likely to just think that was a great one-time experience. I don't have to revisit it. I know how this film, story, video game ends. But when there's something to look back on again, either you see it in a new way, or it's a new understanding you didn't have before. I mean, you're endless as far as your replay value.
Yeah, I feel like this movie, actually, just all Nolan movies really have that kind of quality where, you know, you watch it one time, and I don't think that you're supposed to understand fully his vision the first time. I think you're supposed to experience the magic trick, and then your understanding comes from multiple viewings. I don't think, like, if maybe I'm also not smart enough, but, like, if you totally got it on the very first watch and you were like, "Oh, I don't even need to watch it again," I fear.
No, nobody gets these movies on the first watch. I mean, Inception for me, I mean, I got the gist, but I didn't get it. Like, I needed it one more time to really fully grasp. Got it. I saw more angles. And here's the trouble with a lot of films. You get not only a great complex story, but you get complex visuals. So you're concentrating on so many different things. And then you want to throw in there an amazing musical score in most of these films, like Hans Zimmer or something. It's like you're fully pulled in different ways.
Wait, did you say that you watched Inception twice and you got it? Like, that's it? Like, you got the whole thing? Because there's no way, like, that makes you way smarter than, like, everybody else.
No, I would say that the second time around, I fully understood kind of the point of what we're doing in Inception. Whereas at first, I was like, that was such a trip that I have to question again, dreams in what way, and how, and to what end. How did this machine work? Little things. And by the time the second time around then I got more of it. But sure, it took a lot more for me to get a full perspective on films like that. And in this one, I think it's just the same thing again. You're gonna have to see these different angles, different. I mean, because you're getting this film where it's non-linear again, but it's going through a journal, and you're having to go through some flashbacks. Now, who's talking? Who's narrating here? Is that Christian Bale? No, it's Hugh Jackman. Okay, so you're piecing it together. Again, we've said it before. These films that he makes, you're getting a little homework. Some people just don't want that. Some people may not. They don't want to have to work for a film, and I get it, because you're there to be entertained. But if I don't know, you're like the three of us, we kind of like to put things together. I mean, I do. I like to put stuff together and make it more, more complete, with more viewings or more understanding.
I think what's also great about this film and a lot of Nolan's films is that you can also like decide on multiple viewings, like, oh, I want to look at the story through this lens, and you can have a totally different experience. I know, like, because I think this is probably my fourth, fifth, or sixth time watching The Prestige. Um, when I was watching it this time, my lens was, I wonder if he's making a commentary on the film industry. And to me, I was kind of relating the different paths that they went on to like types of filmmaking, or, I guess really types of like visual effects. Cause I know that Nolan likes to go the route of like going as practical as possible.
Yeah.
And there's other directors, like James Cameron, who are like, I want to, create a world that you've never seen before, and I'm going to harness the power of computers.
Yeah.
And so I thought what was really cool about like Hugh Jackman's character is he's going and he's like trying to find a scientific route to wow an audience. He's trying to like go the CGI route. He's trying to like show you, the most accurate thing possible, and not fake it, and not try to have this practical illusion. I think that like maybe uh, Christian Bale's character, or the two of them, go after the kind of like live, like in person illusion. Um, and yeah, so this time around, that's what I was doing. I was looking through that lens, and I thought it was very interesting. He's kind of just making he could be making a statement on like movies in general, and how like the movie process, not only of making movies but showing movies, is a magic trick.
Right. Do you guys think that this might be the one film that has the most CG that he's ever utilized?
Probably, probably because he was in the beginning of his career, and I bet he was trying things out with a big budget. And I bet after this time around, he probably decided he wanted to go more and more practical, especially after Inception. I think once he was really getting his, sinking his claws into the process, he was like, I really like to just be able to see it on screen when I'm directing.
Yeah. And so we're riding off the coattails here of Batman Begins. Christian Bale's already been established as, big stardom as far as like the success of that film. And yet this was also a very different role for him. I think that the cast, if we want to get into it, you got Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale. I mean, those are like my dream team guys. I mean, when you see them in films, I mean, you're already, again, we talked about it before. There's a certain caliber of filmmaking and acting that come with their names, and I think that I was really happy to see these two. And who doesn't want to see Batman versus Wolverine? I mean, come on.
Well, also they're two different kinds of actors too, right? They're two very different styles, but they're also complementary styles to each other, where you never felt like any scene where they were in was a forced scene. It felt natural. It felt real. It felt like these two guys were living this life. It was amazing to watch. And as to Kai's point about the special effects and practical effects versus special effects, I love that it almost had one is willing to get their hands dirty and one is not willing to get their hands dirty, right? Christian Bale is willing to kill birds and do all the stuff, but Hugh Jackman builds a device to save the bird, right? He's going to use one bird and save that bird every single time, whereas Christian Bale is going to sacrifice all the birds every time he needs to. That was like the big one. But then also, can we get to the spoiler of it, I guess?
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman's willing to sacrifice lives for his show, like literal versions of himself.
His own lives.
Yeah, his own lives. Well, and that's the only part that I didn't get. Is it like, is the one that steps into the machine, that's the one that dies, and then a new one is remade? Is that what I'm understanding correctly? Is that how I understand this?
I think it doesn't really matter because both of them are going to have the full memories of who he is at the point where they separate. So it is him either way.
Right, but one dies, and it's the one that steps in the machine, right? He falls in, dies. The other
Yeah, well, he said
clears out a machine, right?
he said he didn't know if he would be the one
Yeah.
in the box or the one to finish the show. And I think that it's more of a, again, because I know like the type of filmmaker Nolan is. I think if you asked him the question, he'd be like, it doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's about the like idea of consciousness and where it begins and ends, you know? And so like, one of them is, I mean, the experience is kind of like it's both, because one guy steps in from like having all the memories of who he is, steps in and then he drowns. And then another guy, same thing, steps in, doesn't drown. So it's the same exact experience, but it is a question of like who gets to experience it, like which one goes. But again, it's like, I think it's like a weird paradox too.
Is it like the Schrodinger's cat thing, right?
Yeah,
Is the cat alive or is it dead, right? And until you open the box, it's both technically.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think that is the beauty of this kind of film, which is again what I appreciate about Nolan that a lot of people don't like is that he does leave it to a certain degree for your interpretation, whether it be the ending or it would be, that would be like the ending of Dark Knight Rises. It's like, did Bruce Wayne live or did he die? And I know that it took years and years and years. I want to say like, I think that he came out 10 years later when he actually said what he thought was the actual ending. But everybody else till then, it was up for debate. Oh, it was just a dream sequence Alfred was having, or no, he didn't die, or he did. But all these different interpretations. That is what I love about him. It's film is supposed to be tailored for you, not necessarily for the masses. It's for the masses, but each individual has their own take of an experience. So when it comes to this film, there are different. I think it's still open for some interpretation regarding things like that. And I think that to me, I take it very symbolic of how far will you go? Number one. Number two, are you willing to sell your soul to the devil? And number three, are you someone that is? I think he even said it at one point. Yeah, he did to Scarlett Johansson's character. Well, what about your wife? Something like that. And I think he was looking through the journal. I don't care about my wife. I care about his secrets. And at that point, he's completely changed. Angier's changed. It wasn't about the loss anymore. He he allowed himself to succumb to all these desires, these dark desires of just wanting to beat him, and nothing else mattered. And that's a huge lesson in life. I mean, I think that there is a certain point where you got to know when too far is too far.
Yeah. It also made me realize I never want to do a dodge the bullet trick ever.
Yeah, never do that. Unless you're really good like Neo in the Matrix, then you might be all right.
I mean, that was a great movie. I'm no doubt about it. There's nothing in the movie where you go, whatever. You're the whole time you're captivated. But again, it's one of those movies you can't just kind of partially watch or just watch one time and go.
You can't miss 1 minute of it, and that's what I took away from this time. Because you're right. I mean, if you don't look at it for a minute or two, and I think that is what, again, that line, are you paying attention, really stood out this time, because I thought this is my maybe fifth time viewing this movie, and it was just constantly the narrative in my head, like it's gonna be quick. Something here, the change in the story, they're gonna reveal one small thing, and if you don't catch it, then you'll have to see it again. It's just a one-way train. If you missed what was on the way, you got to ride it again to see.
Yep.
And I think in this film with the two actors doing so well at sort of trying to one up each other, you saw these different ways that they're going about doing the sleight of hand, so to speak, and you saw so much trickery, so much deception, but also a lot of pure awesome magic. Like it looked really neat to do to watch and wonder, if you could pull off an act like that, like these guys did.
If I have to kill a bunch of birds, I don't think I can. But besides that, I'm okay. That was the one thing that's the only problem I have with the whole thing is the kid figured it out so fast.
Yeah, that was disturbing.
Yeah, I had not figured that out by that point. And the kid's like, "He killed the bird," and I'm like, "He did?" Like, yeah. See, I'm not. Again, the movie's too smart for me. A kid figured it out. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
yeah. But that
You skip cleaning the table later and taking the bird out or whatever, and you're like, "Oh, he does kill a bird. Oh, that's messed up."
Yeah, but that's not even about the kid finding it out. It's about the filmmaker literally foreshadowing that Christian Bale's character has a brother. He was like, "Where's his brother?"
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes. I caught that as well this time around too. He has a brother, and just the way he said to the kid, "Sharp this one," and it's not about the bird. This time around, you're like, that's the foreshadowing of here. You wouldn't see that unless you saw it like maybe the fifth, sixth time around. At this point, you're like, wow, really interesting. All these little like hints and notes of what's to come. And I think that is a really brilliant move.
well, what I love too is like when they're trying to determine whether it is a double, he has a double, and she goes, "No, he's missing the fingers, right? He cut off his brother's fingers, bro." You're like,
Dude,
what?
that was that, and they didn't show that towards until the end,
Till the
where
very end.
it was revealed. Again, a good use of going hop back to show that part, because then it creates that intensity where you then, of course, understand, and of course, you feel even more in hindsight looking back. You're like, my God, this is what it took to get there.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah, but I mean, they also, I feel like if you re-edited it, I'm not going to. If you did,
No more requests, please.
if you did the chronological version, I really don't think it would flow the same way. I think it would hinder all the little like moments that you were talking about, where like you do wonder about it in this section, and then a couple scenes later they reference that, and so and I think that because of the way it's told non-linearly, you get those moments. But also talking about when they were trying to figure out if it was a double or not. And then you're talking about the dedication of like cutting off the fingers. You also see that foreshadowed when they're trying to figure out how the old man does the trick with the goldfish bowl, and he's showing the dedication that this magician has to the act, and the act is pretending that he's an old man when really he's a young man who could totally be strong enough to hold that between his legs. And just I think that those are points where non-linearly it all fits together, where you can like actually have foreshadowing that comes later in the story but told earlier in the story, so that you can be kind of setting yourself up for that idea. But again, I haven't seen it in chronological order, so I don't know if it would be, but I would imagine it's not great.
I think you're right, Kai, because I think the movie itself is the trick that they talk about: the setup, the performance, and the prestige. The whole movie, every scene is either a setup, a performance, or the prestige. It's either setting you up to see something, showing you the moment, or letting you see the end of it, and that's it. Every scene ties into one of those three things. As I was watching, I was like, "Oh, okay, now they're revealing it. Oh, what is this? They're setting me up. Oh, this is a cool performance scene." Right? It was all that. Once I understood what it was doing, then it's one of those three things throughout the whole movie. There's not a scene that isn't one of those three things. Every scene is that.
Yeah. No, and I totally agree. That is very true. Well, first to your point, Kai, I think that I'd be very curious. I can't make the call whether this film or other films, what they would be like edited to be linear. I think that you would lose the charm of the non-linear, which is what I'm a fan of. But I think that if you went totally straight through, yeah, I wonder. Like, Memento was one that we talked about, a special edition DVD that he did
Added in
put the whole
chronological order.
film in
Yeah.
linear form. I'd be curious to watch it, because I wonder if
I
the
have
movie
watched it.
carries. What did you think of it?
I think it's not as good as a movie, but I think that it does help you understand the story better. I think it's a less interesting movie, but easier to wrap your head around what's going on.
It's like you'll get
So
it.
that's probably So that's probably what would happen with the Prestige in linear form. You'd probably understand the story, but it wouldn't feel it would be like doing a magic trick in a different order. You'd be like, I don't understand, why are there two doves now? I don't get it. Like
Or if they showed you the end and then they went back and tried to do it, you'd be like, that was weird. Like,
Yeah.
because like they even say like, making something disappear is great, but it's not a trick until they come back, right? So if you're only getting one piece of that, it's not going to be any fun. It's not going to be the what grabs you, what enthralls you and pulls you in, because anybody can make anything disappear. It's the bringing it back that makes it awesome. And this movie, that's exactly what it is. The setup's great, the performance is great, but until they give you the prestige, none of it matters.
Yeah, I think it's also just like a commentary on film structure in general, because and Steven Spielberg said this too, like it's easy to start a story, but the hard part is finishing it. Like that's what makes a story great, is when you wrap it up in a nice bow. And a lot of filmmakers who make subpar movies, they just make really interesting like plot lines, but then it's kind of like Game of Thrones, the end of it just kind of bleh. But it was awesome up until that point, but it wasn't a great story because it didn't have that nice ending that felt satisfactory. And I feel like that's the Prestige is that idea of like no one's gonna clap if you don't bring it back.
Do you think that's to say that if a film in general, not Nolan film, but if the protagonist were to die and not come back, let's just say, i.e., Matrix Revolutions, or I can't think of any other one at the moment, but if the hero dies, do you think that suffers from the bringing it back? The lack thereof.
I think it really depends on how you do it and what your message is in that. Because I think you could have a hero die and the story is about the sacrifice, or the like.
I can think of immediately. I'm thinking the Gladiator movie. Gladiator, he dies. I can't remember anyone freaking out about it. 300, I would say, isn't fair because that is a actual historical, event. Whereas that, I mean, they exaggerated symbolically in that version, but there's obviously like war films, and that you expect, most of the main people to die. But if we're talking about fantasy, if we're talking about, even it could even be a Christopher Nolan film. If the main guy dies,
2049.
Blade Runner, that's another one. Yeah, that is exactly what I wonder, is if that element has to be there to bring it back, or if not, then what element do you need in your filmmaking story to satisfy the palate, so to speak?
I'd say actually the idea of having to bring a character back, because I don't think that the trick is killing them. Sometimes it is, but like sometimes the story calls for it. Like, Avengers Endgame. Like, we're not going to bring back Tony Stark. We're not going to bring back Iron Man after his sacrifice, because then it would cheapen.
It would defeat the whole thing
sacrifice,
we saw.
Yeah. And the trick is that he did something, I'd say, out of character, because Iron Man, like they set him up to be a very like selfish character in earlier films, and like the trick is that he's grown, and he's grown to the point where he's able to make a sacrifice that is so selfless that he's putting everyone else in the world before himself.
Yeah, the formula of redemption.
Yeah, and so I think that's the trick, and that's why it works, and that's why it feels satisfying, and you can clap after it.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Looking back this time around, the major thing that I give props to is Michael Caine. For me, seeing him again, refreshing. I love seeing him in all his films, but I don't know what it was this time around. Seeing him was just, it felt very well suited for him, this kind of film. And in the company of Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, I think it just works. It's a cast that just works.
Yeah, I definitely think that this film holds up and honestly does better than a lot of modern films at, telling a interesting story that has a lot of rewatch value. And I think that it was really Nolan showing off, like he was really like, listen, I can tell a story however way I want to tell it, and it's going to intrigue you, and you're going to want to know the trick. And I think the reason why, I mean, this is a little bit of a tangent, but another reason how the film industry is also magic is the idea of like it won't be as interesting when you know the trick, and sometimes I feel that way being a visual effects artist, where people are wowed by what they see, but then once they kind of know how it's done, they're like, oh, okay, well then it could have been better. But I think that this is one of those films where like I I haven't really looked too much into, like, how it was actually made, like, I haven't watched, like, a behind the scenes documentary about it or anything, and I think I kinda like it that way because I do kinda like that intrigue of, like, there's so much that happened in it, that I just wanna keep dissecting it as a story and not as a storyteller.
I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. I think Michael Caine, the reason why I also like Michael Caine is he was the calm and the storm of this story. While all these two were doing their thing, he was the constant straight through thread that was just there. He was not changing and he was not going to sway one way or the other. He had his moral compass and he wasn't going to take sides. And so it felt like the most honest perspective in the entire film, which I enjoyed quite a bit.
As he is in all his films, it seems like with Nolan, he is that voice of reason, that display of equilibrium, that stability that the main characters, as you mentioned, James, are kind of in some sort of induced chaos. And there he is, just like that even line of just the way he is in the lines and characters that he plays and delivers. It's always to kind of bring us back, to stability. I guess I tried repeating it at this point, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when he's Alfred, Joker's going chaotic in the city and Batman's now starting to think, I'm willing to go even further. That like I did the limit that I had set on myself, I'm willing to break that limit, right? That's what he's thinking. And Michael Caine's like, no, 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 no. You got to kind of come back here, right? Because you're both out of balance here. If you're not balanced, then you both end up on the same side and you're both the bad guy. There is no bad guy or good guy. You're both wrong. But in this one, it felt that way. The other thing that I liked about this movie is a giant magic trick that holds you to the end. And no matter how many times you watch it, it's always going to be in awe. It's always going to make you go, wow, right? And there's not a lot of movies that do that. There's not a lot of movies that make you go, wow, every time you watch it. This is definitely one of those movies. This is only the third time I think I've seen this movie. The first time I walked out and went, I don't know what the heck I just watched. Literally, that's why I said, I'm like, I don't know either. The second time I was like, oh, I kind of get it. It's all about, this is all a giant magic trick. Cool. The third time, this time that I watched it now, I was like, oh, there's layers. There's magic tricks upon magic tricks inside of this film. And this movie is designed to be one giant magic trick. But if you don't watch every single piece, like if you've ever been to the Magic Castle, all the little sleight of hand stuff they do, if you're not paying attention to every piece, you're going to miss the entire trick. And you're going to go, whatever. As far as the Kai's thing where he's talking about special effects, there used to be a TV show on Discovery, I believe, called Movie Magic. I don't know if you ever saw that show. And one of my favorite ones is, I believe it was Demolition Man. They showed how they made sparks for a gun, where they used a paintball gun with like these things on it, and it would hit and make sparks, and that's how they do like gunshot sparks. And it really changed the way that I viewed films. But for some reason, I felt they were even more magical than before because somebody had to think of that idea and then practically make that work in real life to get the effect that you see on screen. That to me seemed like 10 layers deep of magic as opposed to a green screen and people dancing around or whatever, which no offense to James Gunn. Again, I love Guardians of the Galaxy, but 99% of Marvel movies are just green screen, right? I mean, but I like the old practical magic. And I maybe I'm the Christian Bale in this. I like the practical magic stuff. I like, I played a trick on you as opposed to I had to involve a bunch of special extra things to play the same trick on you.
Yeah. No, I agree. The way visual effects are now, like I can't think of a movie now for so many years, so long where I was like, wow, that the visual effects were amazing in that. I can't think of one, to be honest. I always feel that not only is it my opinion, but others like, it looks so horrible. It looks so cheesy. You get into Star Wars, you get into Mandalorian, all of this, right? Everybody has something to complain about regarding it, but I have yet to hear again, like the old days, shoot, I have no idea how they did that. That was amazing. You don't hear it anymore. So I think that we reached a point that if we can just go back to practicality, and we know better, obviously, when it comes to visual effects, special effects, whatever, what have you, make it organic. I mean, it's gonna look fake anyway, so might as well make it look real with real things.
Yeah.
Just my take.
I also have to just shout out the parts with Nikola Tesla. I think
David Bowie. I didn't even get to him.
Yeah, David Bowie.
How is David Bowie so married? Andy Serkis, yeah. Andy Serkis again killing it. I mean, looking again at this film, I had forgotten about him. I was like, Andy Serkis here.
Yeah.
What? Like, yeah.
In my Tesla, I have a set thing hanging down. It's Nikolai Tesla's face. I just have that, and in my Tesla, and I'm like,
Not David Bowie.
not David Bowie. I mean, maybe it's.
It could be.
It could be. Who knows? Maybe that's the trick. No, I'm just kidding.
That could be, right? Yeah, David Bowie didn't pass away. He just disappeared. Anyway, but yeah, God rest his soul. Awesome guy. He was great. I loved the cast. This to me was a total just home run when it came to the cast. Everybody was great. I think that it's a really good appropriate time to give our scores. What do you guys think?
I think that
Because otherwise I might as well keep going where I'm at. So I'm going to go ahead and give my review and number. I think that the cast was the biggest strength here in this film. I think that the non-linear is a great thing Nolan does. I personally felt he fell a little short, and maybe it might have just been my mood, but also I think that it should be tailored for every mood, maybe. I'm just spitballing here. I don't know. I also was not a fan of the score, but I was a huge fan of the complexity of this story, and the delivery of, these moral questions of how far is too far. Will I sell my soul to the devil, so to speak? Am I going to kill myself, literally doing whatever I'm going to do here? I give this film a 7. And for me, that 7 is a very happy 7. I was very happy to see it, and I still will see it again. I'm giving it a couple notches down because of what I said, only because, and again, it always happens, Nolan, you've raised the bar too far high. You keep raising it higher, so therefore, I think that your other works can show that there may have been some more expectations. And if I had a question, if I could meet Nolan for just 2 minutes of his time, maybe even 1, I just want to ask him, would you want to redo any of these older films that you did, and how would you do it? That would be it. That would be my score. I give it a solid 7.
I think personally, this is one of my favorites from Nolan. I could watch this at any point. Like, if anyone at any point was like, "Hey, have you seen The Prestige? You want to watch it?" I'd be like, "I have, and I will." So I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. And I think the only things that could have made it better, I agree with you. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember the score whatsoever.
Right.
I think the only things that I would change to the score, maybe this is already done, but it was just too subtle for me to notice, but using the score in a way to like give motifs to certain eras that they were talking about, so that you could like subconsciously like fit in the timeline where this part was being told. I think that could have been interesting. But I also am like, maybe if they went too bold with the music, it would distract from having to like actually figure out like what's going on. But I think that a really good score not only doesn't distract, but adds to the film. So, and I think that could have been done. So that's, I think, why it's like not up there. Like when we get to it, like Inception definitely is higher in my list than The Prestige, because I think it's great and it's got great music and everything to me. So 8.5, that's mine.
Wow.
James, what say you?
I loved every part of it. Again, it was layered, and so that's what made it enjoyable. But again, I had to work at understanding the layers. So that part to me pulls me back a little bit. But again, all the characters are fantastic. Everything we see there is in it. The battle between men's will and how far they're willing to push themselves to be the best at what they want to be, and to even outbest somebody else, to me was just a timeless tale. Right? Take away magic from this. It's just two men who are competing to be the best at whatever thing they want to be. Right? This could have been an Olympic story. This could have been a space race. This could have been, this could have been a Karate Kid movie, and it would still have that same thing of like two men fighting to be the best. And for me, that is what I loved about the movie more than anything. The magic on top of that, fantastic. I'm gonna give it an 8 just because I had to like watch it a bunch of times to kind of like understand the layers, and so it keeps it from being a perfect film for me because sometimes it hurts to think like for me maybe. But otherwise,
Not just you.
but I love the movie. Like besides that, like I wasn't. If you would ask me the first time I watched it, what do you rate it? I would have been like, I don't know, like a 5. Like I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. Like it wasn't, whatever. But the second time I was like, oh, this is like a 7. But then understanding it again, it made it an 8. And now maybe if I watch it 2 or 3 more times, I go, this is a 10. This might be a perfect movie. And I don't think the score for me mattered. I don't know if I really cared that much. It's not like Batman where I need that score to like kind of highlight what's coming up. This felt like a human story, as not that Batman's not a human story, but there's so many super levels to Batman that this is a very human story. And so I don't know if I needed a strong score, a Hans Zimmer score to pull me into it, but I liked it. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
It's funny because, I mean, I just realized in 2006 when I first saw this, my score would have been very different. I mean, it was pretty low. I didn't know Nolan the way I know him now as far as his film. And like you, Kai, I've kind of dived into some of his stuff that he's written about, his concepts, and other people's takes of his concept. And it's grown on me to appreciate, of course, in the Dark Knight trilogy, that was even more stunning as you saw it. So I think that I probably would have been just like you, James. Mentally, I probably would have given it a 5 in 2006, just because I wasn't privy to this. I wasn't expecting that. And I know how I felt when I saw it. I felt like it jumped around. I kind of said that today too. Kind of jumped around to a point where it was a little confusing. And I remember feeling that. I was a lot younger too. But it just goes to show you that films can age for the better as they go, especially when you get to know conceptuality, especially in directors and story writers. Then you start to realize maybe that Quentin Tarantino movie I saw in 93, 94 means a lot more different now that I get his style, now that I know what he's doing, rather than figuring out, what is this? This is just a little off the wall. So yeah, there you have it. I definitely implore everybody that's, listening, watching, hit us up, let us know what you thought of The Prestige. We will definitely be doing the next film, which is The Dark Knight. Yeah, and I could care less about that film, as you guys know me. No, it's going to be a very special episode. I'm not even going to get started on it, but definitely write us, let us know your thoughts. Until next time, though, Kai, where can folks find you on social media?
At Kai Patterson Films on Instagram, and probably other places. I don't know. I just deleted Twitter the other day, so
Wow. Why? Wait, I don't know.
Now you just age yourself, sir, because now the kids call it X. Okay.
oh yeah, well that's why I deleted it, because it's not Twitter anymore.
Oh man, I don't blame you. I don't even.
Yeah, I just I was realizing that I was getting really angry every day, and then I was like, oh, I think it's because of all these like stupid tweets that I'm reading, and just like I don't need to be in the know about everything that's happening all the time. So that's why I deleted that. So you can find me on Instagram, or go to my website, kaipattersonfilms.com. And yeah, just hit me up. Tell me all the fun movies that you like, and maybe I'll try to emulate them.
Beautiful. James, where are you at?
At JD Creviston Comedy. You can go find me on Instagram there. I also do not have X. Somebody told me I should get back on it, and now Kai said that, I'm like, maybe not. Maybe I'm not going to go back. No.
Don't do it. guys, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time, everybody, keep calm and, you guessed it, geek on. Good night, everybody.